When voices in Miami-Dade are not heard, shocking silence. Neighbor's microphone cut off in 2025. Case: Circle of Brotherhood. Today we explain what happened in the October 9, 2025, session. Items 3A7 and 3A9 on district funding, the reasonable opportunity to speak, and how the microphones were cut off when the neighborhood spoke. The chair opened public comments for a minute. Industry, chambers, unions, and also residents of tough areas and Circle of Brotherhood arrived. But the opportunity was cut short when the testimony touched nerves, violence, funding, and neglect. Gilbert's procedural wall. Quote, Commissioner Oliver G. Gilbert III. I'm listening carefully, and you're saying good things, but it doesn't seem to be an agenda item. You have to stick to the topic. With that rule, the reality of the neighborhood was left out. Clarifying point. There were indeed funding items on the agenda. That same day, there were funding allocation resolutions, 3A7, District 1, and 3A9, District 3. People spoke about funding before funding items. Even so, they were cut off. Brief sequence. Opening with pastor, open comments, port industry with time and calm, and then the neighborhood, with interruptions for not being on the agenda. When our voices are not heard, we vote. Quote, Theophilus, Theopis, Williams, the elderly suffer. Money always appears for friends, not for the taxpayer. Bring in the governor if there is no answer here. Quote, Shemika Pierce, COB, cutting funding is not an Excel cell. It cuts off hope and vital support for girls in foster care and violence prevention. Quote, Albert Campbell, COB. Why am I in furlough with all the great work I've done? I came to the conclusion that our political space is like hell. There are many of us in furlough who do great work in the community. What did they want to talk about? They wanted to talk about cuts to programs that prevent shootings, better use of discretionary funds, and basic services, broken streets, transportation for seniors, a real state presence. Double standard. Industry yes, neighborhood no. The port industry was heard for hours without hindrance about a transaction that should have been made 2 years ago or continued investment, and that wasn't done, as usual with Jimmy Morales, by the mayor and her team belatedly. The neighborhood was required to follow technicalities, that every word fit the label on the file. Result. The economic aspect had a microphone, prevention in the neighborhoods, no. It became clear. When you cut off funding to those who contain violence, you cut off hope. And when you silence neighbors, you break trust. Commissioner Gilbert set the procedural fence, and Hardiman concluded, I keep hearing, Circle of Brotherhood, and I don't see it, in the item. They're not following the rules. They're confused because they're being duped. Meanwhile, Lamont Nanton, COB, tried to make a point. Circle was removed from a key violence intervention contract. Concrete proposal, the minimum decent thing that the county and its representatives must abide by, since in the commissioner meetings, you can't say what you, as citizens, want to propose or create. If the issue is not in the item, it will be scheduled. A scheduled public session, at least every 15 days on open topics to be scheduled if they remain unfinished or are not admitted to the issued section, for organizations and neighbors. Let it be more of a conversation between representatives and the people. Every intervention ends with a next step, responsible person and date. Respect in the room. No phones, no laughter. The taxpayer pays. Because many of our politicians take your information on a signal, on an empathy camera, and never call the resident. Real representation or simulation? October 9th showed a gap. The major players were heard. Those who experience violence daily were silenced. That's not governing, that's managing silence. Who they are and what they do. Circle of Brotherhood, COB. Circle of Brotherhood was founded in 2013 to intervene in violence, mentor youth, and heal trauma. African American men and women of all backgrounds serve their neighborhoods, workshops, conflict mediation, leadership, schools, streets. When their funding is cut, it's not a figure that falls. A mediator falls between two guns. Approvals without a committee, the silent shortcut. Too many items arrive without a committee. Less scrutiny, less participation, more risk. In times of deficits and critical decisions, fast tracking should be the exception, not the rule.